Have you noticed that when you're thinking, it's almost like you're in another world? I mean, it's only when you're thinking that you are lonely, you feel fear, or you're worried about what's going to happen tomorrow. All of the anxiety is in your thoughts. All of the desire is in your thoughts. So everything you want or need in order to be happy is a product of your mind speaking to you and telling you that you'll be more fulfilled and happier somewhere else, with something else, with someone else, and anything but where you are. Interestingly, when you're not thinking, which for many of us is not very often, in fact, the majority of the population are thinking almost all of the time. When you're not thinking and you're just receiving information through your senses, all that's happening is you are consuming this moment, this world, the one that's transpiring in front of you, the one that is an unfolding experience. It's experience after experience after experience. And all that's actually happening is you are here for it. But then the thoughts come. And what are thoughts? Well, it turns out thoughts are your ideas speaking to you in your head, or as the voice in your head. And just to prove that, how many times have you noticed that you can play two sides of the same argument in your head? Why is that? It's because if you hold two conflicting ideas, then both ideas are going to speak, and actually they speak to each other. The test for that is who's listening to the voice in your head and who's the one speaking. Of course you're the one listening, and even though the voice sounds exactly like you, the indecision and the debate is between two ideas that you hold. So your ideas about the world are fueling everything it ever says. So you accumulate ideas since birth. You've been accumulating the things you like, the things you don't like, the things you want, the things you don't want, the things that scare you, and the things that will make you happier, the people, the places, the things that will make you happier. And suddenly the thoughts are unchecked, they are involuntary, and they're almost uncontrollable. Just to prove it, you'll wake up in the middle of the night, and without choosing what to think about, you'll be thinking about what's happening tomorrow, what you're going to need to say to somebody, how to be happier and find somewhere or something that's going to make you happy. In fact, it turns out that most of your thoughts are actually in the hope of creating a situation that's going to make you happier in the end. It might be a holiday, it might be a thing you want to buy, it might be a relationship you want to get into, it might be the relationship you want to get out of. But actually, all you're ever thinking about is what will give me a little bit more happiness in this moment? How do I find it and how do I get there? And more often than not, the things that you think will make you happy are hard to get to. They are a long way away. They require money, or they require you to say things to people that you don't want to say or you're finding difficult. Maybe you have to prepare a script. Maybe you have to think a lot to try to make sure you get the words right. And then when you do it, often it all goes wrong and it doesn't live up to the expectations you were thinking about. And interestingly, a lot of this process you're also watching from a distance, from the cheap seats, shall we say, in the background, and you're noticing how badly you're doing it. So you decided that you would need to get thinner in order to feel better, and you went on a journey and dieting and whatever, but now you're not keeping it all up. You're thinking about it, but you're not keeping it all up, and you're not taking action. You're not eating the right foods. You're not in the right space with health. And suddenly the voice in your head is not only debating how to go on a diet and what will make you happier, and telling you that being thinner would make you happier. It's also looking at the way you're doing it, and it's criticizing you. So you are noticing that you've now created the idea that you're not good enough, that the things that you keep setting out to achieve are things that you keep missing out on doing. And you're chasing your own happiness, but you're failing at getting to it every time. No wonder your self-critic or your ideas about you are taking a turn for the worst and becoming more and more and more negative. And now all you're hearing or feeling is how bad you are at dealing with this world. And you've got it overpowered because there's so many things you'd like to be doing, but many of them you are failing to do in the way that you'd want to. And all of this narrative, all of these stories, all of what's happening that's making you feel bad or suffer is happening in your thoughts. It's not happening in your senses, it's not happening in the world. It is you creating the ideas and then you listening to the ideas back again and again and again in some sort of vicious, nasty a barrage, should I say, of words in your head. Nobody else is hearing it, you are, but you can hear it wherever you are. You can be driving your car, you can be in the shower, you can be literally cooking your food or just sitting still, and that voice in your head is saying to you, oh, I'm lonely, I need a partner, I hate this relationship, I need out of it, I'm failing at everything and I can't do anything. And you're sat in the middle of this dialogue feeling awful about you and about the world, and without noticing that your suffering is all based on ethereal thoughts. They don't even exist, nobody else can hear them. And the ideas you've created, even though that's what's speaking in your head, you didn't really mean to create the ideas either. In fact, a lot of the ideas were created during the thinking that is taking your peace and creating the suffering. So it's an interesting vicious circle. But it's totally reversible. We are all entrapped in listening to our thoughts and thinking they tell the truth. And that's because when we create an idea, we always think it's important, we always think it's true. But it's ultimately reversible, and what we can do is we can dissolve the ideas and lose the thinking and find a way and a path back to a peaceful mind. And with a peaceful mind we can just enjoy the world through our senses, and that's all we need to do. The first step is to notice that all of the things you are suffering from are coming from your thoughts, and your relationships with the world and your belief that everything outside of you is causing the problem are just your ideas about the world speaking. You have to create an idea about a relationship before there's a dialogue in your head about relationships, for instance. Or you have to create a dialogue about needing a holiday and an idea that a holiday will make you feel better before the holiday is being spoken about in your head and the need for it. You have to create an idea about your work that you don't enjoy it before the thoughts are going around in your head and saying, I don't enjoy my work and I need to get a new job and I need to do something different. And the suffering is all of this consideration, all of this stuff you want to get out of. But it is you who's listening to the ideas, and interestingly, the issue with thoughts and ideas is that the more important the idea, the more they speak, which is elegant, it makes total sense. But how do we make them important? Well, first of all, we create them arbitrarily and accidentally. But second of all, by listening to them, you are telling your consciousness, this one's important, this one matters, this one is something that I keep listening to again and again and again. So how do we make them less important? Simple. We learn to redirect our attention away from our thought stream and into our senses. And we do this in meditation, we could do this in presence practice, we could do it in many different ways. But it's totally possible to dissolve all of the thoughts and find peace everywhere.